Hello and welcome back, fellow movie enthusiasts. I am Brooke Peterman, and today we will be discussing the movie Roll of Thunder, Hear My Cry. Roll of Thunder, Hear My Cry is a 1978 film directed by Jack Smite, based on the novel by Mildred D. Taylor. Smite is also known for directing other works such as The Illustrated Man, Midway, and most notably, The Twilight Zone. Roll of Thunder is a drama that revolves around a young black girl named Cassie and her family and their experiences living in the South in the 1930s. Cassie is forced to learn throughout the movie the harsh realities of the world around her, experiencing and realizing the injustices she will face being a black woman in the South. From tender moments to childish fights to horrific hate crimes, this movie contains every aspect of life in southern Mississippi through an interesting and personable narrative. Before jumping into the plot and the themes underneath it, as well as my final opinions on the film, it's important to provide some context for this movie. Taylor wrote this novel in 1976, but the story takes place in 1933, within Mississippi's tense political and social climate. For a black family living in Mississippi at this time, like the Logans, there's always a constant threat from white supremacist groups and stories of lynchings and burnings all throughout the county. This included groups like the Night Riders, people who would ride around at night committing hate crimes as seen in the film. The movie highlights how unjust laws and practices of the times, such as the Jim Crow laws and sharecropping, affected everyday families like the Logans, and how they restricted blacks from getting the same education, resources, and opportunities as whites. Segregation was implemented in other ways as well, such as in the school systems. We can see this very clearly in the film, where the kids are depicted going to different school buildings of unequal quality based on their race. Within this context, it is very easy to see and empathize with the hardships that the Logan family faces throughout the movie. The film is largely from the perspective of the Logan's middle child, Cassie, played by Lark Ruffin. I couldn't find any other films that Lark Ruffin has been in, though she did do an incredible job portraying Cassie's willful, determined character, and immediately drew me into the movie. It begins with Cassie situating the film and introducing all the main characters, including her mother, Ma, her grandmother, Big Ma, her father, Pa, and all of her brothers, including her oldest brother, Stacy. While Cassie and her brothers navigate daily life, there's the ongoing conflict of Ma trying to organize a boycott against the Wallaces, a cruel and ignorant white family that owns a shop in town, and the impending threat that the Wallaces will lash out against their Logans. All in all, I thoroughly enjoyed watching this movie, and I felt that there were many impactful themes shown throughout, mostly revolving around racism, family, and independence. The Logans were repeatedly shown in wide shots enjoying time together as a family, and every member of the family at one point or another stressed the importance of familiar bonds. The Logans also own their own land, which is very important in the film, and it's vitally important to both the plot and their characterization as an independent family. I particularly enjoyed the use of long silences to display characters' emotions. They used this a lot when showing Big Ma and used a lot of close-ups. I also thought that the use of music and auditory effects throughout the movie were a great way to convey tone and were really used adequately and very effective, even utilizing lightning to build the suspense at the end. The best symbol I saw throughout the film was definitely the headlights of the Night Riders that Cassie sees one night. This is her first experiencing the physical manifestation of the threat that is posed against her and her family. It's a very ominous image, and it definitely sticks with you long after you watch the film. They repeatedly use this throughout the movie to represent both racism and Cassie's fear against not only white people like the Wallaces, who could potentially hurt her, but all the other unknown threats that she has yet to encounter. However, I do have to say that there were other directorial decisions that I thought were quite questionable. My final opinion on the film, while I really liked it, I thought it was good, but there were definitely things that I would have done better if they were to remake it. I think that the way the plot was set up was very confusing. It jumps around fairly a lot, and it provides very little context for most of the scenes. If you're planning to watch it and don't have any prior knowledge, like you haven't read the book or anything, I would definitely be prepared to pay attention. It's not something you can just sit down and watch casually. This is especially noticeable with some of the scenes portraying the Wallaces. A central theme in the movie is racism, and I think that Smite did a great job trying to highlight this. However, sometimes it felt that he took some of the anecdotes from the book and just kind of threw them into the plot with no explanation, just trying to provide for this rather than really putting them into the characterization of the movie. Another directorial decision that I didn't quite agree with was how Smite chose to portray the female characters in the movie. Throughout the book, Cassie, Big Ma, and Ma were all extremely prevalent characters, and I really loved their roles in the novel, whereas in the movie they were slightly underplayed. As the reader, we were able to clearly see Cassie's character development as a black girl throughout this pivotal year of her life. However, in the film, Cassie did not have as much of a dynamic role, and in turn, we weren't able to see the influence that Big Ma and Ma had on her changing identity and the great themes of woman empowerment that were so prevalent in the novel. The audience of the movie, it seemed that Cassie was merely there for certain significant scenes or just to provide narration. I also felt that this directorial decision took away from the potential the movie had to really recenter Black girls' voices and portray Black girls in literature and in film as strong and caring and resilient, just as Big Ma and Cassie were portrayed in the book. In considering these directorial decisions, it's important to note that Smite is a white male, and this movie was made in the 1970s, so we have to account for how political and social tensions were definitely still high regarding equality in sex and race. And so it makes sense that Taylor, as a Black female, would emphasize different characters in different scenes than Smite might. That being said, I still think that Smite really did a great job of including the messages that Taylor conveyed in her book about independence and about the injustices that Black families faced in the South in the 1930s.
We've been lynched, we've been burned, we've been whooped, and it ain't broke us yet.
No, and it never will.
Overall, I would give this film a 4-star review. I love the story and I love the message it's telling its viewers. However, structurally, it didn't quite make sense. There was definitely a lot of plot holes, and since the plot was jumping around so much, it was really hard to follow. I definitely was expecting to connect to the characters more, and I felt that the acting could have been more impactful. Because of the plot, I felt like it was really hard to see the relationship that the characters had with each other, and I really lacked that deep characterization that was so prominent in the book. I would definitely still recommend this movie, really, to any age range or group. Although it's classified as a drama, there are a lot of humorous moments, and it has a great mix of lightheartedness and more like heavy, deep topics. I would especially recommend if anyone's interested in Black history or the South in the 1900s, or really a fan of nonfiction in general. I think it'd be a great movie to watch. Well, thank y'all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope it was helpful. If you end up watching the film, just let me know how you like it. I'd love to hear your reviews. And if you've already seen it and you love it, here's some recommendations that I'd like to put out there. I love these movies, and I think that they'd be great. They're really on topic, the same genre. Well, I hope you all have a great day, and don't forget to comment and subscribe. I'll see y'all in my next movie review.